Okay, I've got One Nation leader Pauline Hanson on the line right now. Pauline, welcome to the Super Radio Network.
Yeah, thanks for having me on, Chris. Good morning.
It seems like the Allen government in Victoria has seen the light. We're reading today, front page news, they will keep coal running in Victoria in the Latrobe Valley after being warned by the energy regulator that their grid will be unstable. This includes running it beyond 2028 because the renewable reality, Pauline Hanson, is a nightmare, isn't it?
It is a nightmare, and we've seen that under the Labor government where they keep pushing for these net zero emissions, and the coalition are doing exactly the same, but not as harsh as what the Labor Party are, and its fruits, it's coming to bear. Other countries around the world put this in place, and now they're backpedaling on it because they've seen that it doesn't work.
Yeah.
Not only that, the cost to the taxpayer is horrendous. So the deal was done with Yullurin and to actually shut it down by 2028, but now they want to extend it for another 4 years. They've done a deal with them, so whether it's they've got to pay the maintenance costs, this is the government, it's taxpayers' money. So they're actually going to have to prop this up. Who knows what it is? Could be up to $450 million a year. So the people paying higher prices for the electricity, plus they're paying it in their taxes because poor decisions have been made on this ideology of pushing about the carbon emissions.
And Chris Minns in New South Wales has had that stark reality on him earlier this year. He's also extended the life of coal in the Hunter Valley. It just gets down to the point where a renewable nirvana future in this country is unsustainable because where's your baseload power coming from?
That's right. And see, they're talking about, the Libs are saying, well, we're going to pump gas into the system. Coal-fired power stations, China's building one a week. Also as India, Indonesia, other countries are building them. They are 90% emissions-free. Why are they so bloody minded not to build coal-fired power stations that are basically emissions-free?
Yeah.
We can start putting them in. We have the resources here, but they think it's okay to sell our coal to other countries, burn the coal, and that's all right, that we're still going to adhere to our carbon emissions. The Paris Agreement, no country is really adhering to it, only us. We're the fools of our government and our leaders of this nation head us down this path of total destruction. We're losing industries, manufacturing, rising costs in your homes. Your cost of living is going up, purely all based on the cost of electricity.
See, I would say that this is the number one issue for the future of this country, therefore the number one issue for this upcoming election, and people need to get their heads down and understand the lies they're being told. I keep hearing Chris Bowen talk about reliable renewables. It's an absolute lie.
It is a lie because they can't put it into the grid. When you have an oversupply, and that's why even now on houses, you can only put in Queensland up to 5 kilowatts a day into it. So therefore they're restricting you putting power back in the grid because it makes it unstable.
Yeah.
So that's the way it works. Batteries are not up to the technology.
No.
They haven't got the batteries now to store it, so that will never work for a long time. Hydrogen does not work, won't work for at least another 20 years. So you've only got hydro, but they have not put in the hydro, like I wanted to put in the Bradfield scheme, build hydro schemes, that which you can do. But, Chris, we have the resources. Look at uranium for further down the track. A lot of people are not happy because they feel it's unsafe with it. But we have the coal, we have the gas. Build the coal-fired power stations, and that's what I'd be doing until you come online with nuclear, which is a clean energy. But we're fools not to do it. And Australia is paying the price for it. Households are paying the price for it. A lot of people who are middle income earners, they're now seeing themselves in poverty, trying to keep their heads above water, and we're going to pay the price for this. And look at who owns a lot of these power plants. International companies are investing in Australia in the renewables because the government's paid out subsidies galore to them. Again, your taxes. Chris, it comes down to what's happening in our educational system. Like you had that 23-year-old get on the stage yesterday and protest over it. What the hell would they know?
Yeah.
They've come straight out of university,
Yep.
the educational system. They're being brainwashed there. They come home and tell their parents. The parents don't go and do their own research, listen to what the kids are telling them and say, oh, well, it must be right. The kid's being taught it in school. It's not right.
That's exactly the case. They're being told one side of the story in school. I'm hearing it frequently, and unfortunately, they don't want to hear both sides of the story, and they don't teach that to the kids. Now, to the second biggest issue that should be faced and dealt with during this election campaign, the immigration crisis. You've supported a plan to deport 75,000 visa overstayers. We hear today that student visas are blown out again. The latest numbers are mad. We can't sustain this tidal wave.
No, we can't. We've got just over 75,000 overstayers on their visas. Why hasn't the government rounded them up and done something about it? They're not concerned about it. They're more concerned about my raising it as a policy of mine to actually ensure that they're deported out of the country. In the month of February, the government brought in another 200,000 students into the country. These people, and what I'm hearing from them, they're bringing in their spouses, and some of these spouses should not be allowed in the country, family members or spouses. Why the hell are we bringing them in anyway? They shouldn't be here. The kids are supposed to be here studying. So I don't believe in bringing in spouses or their families with them at all. They're taking up the accommodation. At one stage, we've got over 700,000 foreign students in the country. And I'll tell people another thing, they're allowing them to work. But these people, these students are sending back $11 billion a year to the respective countries where they come from.
It's massive.
Are going out of Australia. So just watch that one as well. They're using immigration as a backdoor into Australia to get their citizenship here, to finally go on the pathway to citizenship. All these students that come out here to do their studies should be made to go back to their own countries and fly through the channels to come back here as a permanent resident. So high immigration levels we've had last year, about 449,000, 60,000 we've had come into the country. But that's net zero. So the people that have left, that's what we've got, a gain of that. That is extremely too high, Chris, and I keep saying that all the time. We can't sustain that amount. And the Labor keeps saying they're going to build these houses, and the 5 million houses over the next, 1.2 million houses over the next 5 years. They've been saying that for the last 2.5 years.
Yeah.
What's happened? Nothing.
Nothing at all. Don't tell me you can't make that happen. And the systems that we've put in place are just being gamed. As you say, you ask anyone in an immigration sector, they will tell you that this is the standard gaming of the system. You apply to be a student, whether you're serious about learning, it does not matter. It's a major step towards becoming a citizen.
It is, and that's why they're using it. So many people want to get into the country.
Yeah.
I just feel I'm continually hitting my head against the brick wall. The people are complaining about it, but you still vote for the two major political parties who are heading down this path of high immigration, which has destroyed again your way of life. Why the hell people keep voting for the same old political parties where I keep saying, give one nation a go. If we get the balance of power in the Senate, Chris, that's where it can be. Vote who you want to in the lower house. But if we get the balance of power in that in the Senate, there'll be a hell of a lot of changes and pushbacks from the governments with their legislation and policies, and I'll introduce the new legislation. So they won't just get anything through without my looking at it to ensure that it's in the best interest of this country. Immigration, high costs, energy costs. Another thing that's very dear to my heart is family law needs to be done. Equality for all Australians. That means regardless of your cultural background, none of this rubbish of you're going to get extra benefits because you're of Aboriginality. It's got to stop.
Yeah. This issue of dual citizenship and criminals, we've spoken about this in several instances, including the instance of the so-called mastermind behind the caravan explosives hoax. And Peter Dutton this week has said that he would be looking for a referendum on creating legislation which can deport dual citizen criminals. Now, it's a difficult issue, this, because quite often you're confronted with criminals who have dual citizenship and they have been here for decades. Where do you stand on this?
I fully support Peter Dutton in what he's wanting to do. We've allowed too many people in the country that are of not good character that staying here using our laws against us and disrupting our nation and the safety and security of the Australian people. If you're dual citizenship, you can strip them of the Australian citizenship as long as international law states that you can't leave them stateless, which they wouldn't. They have their own state. Those people that left the country, went over to that funeral, they were allowed back into the country. You could have stopped them for up to 2 years. This Labor government never did anything about it. Look at all those ones out of the detention centres, around about 150 of those detainees, and a lot of them have actually recommitted crimes again. Nothing's been done about it. They didn't want to wear ankle bracelets, so they didn't wear it. We have to, the court system has become so full of woke judges, the bleeding bloody hearts, those ones. That's why Peter Dutton has to take it to the people, so that we have a referendum, so it's enshrined, so no future governments can actually just come and change it willy-nilly to suit them and their bleeding bloody heart representatives.
All right.
So,
One Nation will support a Peter Dutton push for a referendum on this.
Yes, definitely.
Okay. There are suggestions that the coalition will add $15 billion to the defence budget. They haven't made the announcement yet. We do need to stop relying on our allies, especially when Trump is in the Oval Office, and we've got to start being independent. We've got to start having military attack drone systems in place. We've got to do something about defending ourselves properly.
Totally agree. And Trump has made it quite clear he's sick and tired of his country coming to the defence of a lot of countries who don't put the money into their defence. And so we have to. With China on our doorstep, and I've always quite clearly said, my concerns for China. Once China has a go at taking over Taiwan, they had the Chinese ships down in our waters. What did the government do about it? Nothing. They were testing to see how far they could get. Oh, yeah, they got all around Australia, so there's no problem about that. We have to realise that we have to stand on our own 2 feet, be self-sufficient if we can, and we have to increase our defence personnel. If we had a war hit us today, for starters, we don't have the fuel to run anything in this country. We're dead in the water there. We don't have the personnel to actually be fully trained for this. We don't have the equipment. The subs are on their last legs. I went in one of the Collins-class subs for two days full, and it's a joke, an absolute joke. From having the equipment that we used to have.
And now we're being told this week that we can't even upgrade the Collins-class submarines to extend their life.
That's right, because of the equipment on board, it's just not going to happen. So therefore, we have to look at other ways.
Yep.
We have missiles, we should have the aeroplanes, we should have more of the defence to show the world that we're not sitting ducks here for anyone to just come take us if they want to. And, Chris, another thing is, how many of the Australian people in this country now would actually go out there to defend this nation? And that concerns me as well.
Yeah, it certainly does, and it concerns everyone because of our low recruitment numbers. Pauline Hanson, great to get through all of those key topics today. Thank you so much for your time.
My pleasure. Thanks for having me on. Bye, Chris.
Okay, One Nation leader Pauline Hanson.